Okay, so our snake moves, but we can't really control it. Let's go and add some keyboard events listener so that we can control the movement of the snake with the arrow keys. So we're going to need to go and somewhere in our source code, we can really do it anywhere, but I'm going to be placing it before the draw function. So here I will say document, and I will add an event listener. And so this is going to take a name of an event and a function. The name of the event, we're going to say key down. So when you press a key, this event is going to get fired up and the event handler is going to be called. And you know that when an event handler is called, an event object will be provided to it. Now I'm going to just call it E for event. And this happens if you press down on any of the keys on your keyboard. That's not what we want. What we are interested in is the 4 arrow keys, the up, down, left, and right. So what we can do is we can take a look at the e.key, and this is going to be equal to like arrow up, arrow down. So we can switch over the values of e.key, and we can have several cases. You can say if arrow up, do something, and then break. And so let's do like arrow down. And let's do arrow left and arrow right. Okay, so let's think about what we want to do. So if you press the up key, right, like it doesn't make sense like if you're going up and you press the up key again for me to do anything. Or even really, if you're going down and I press the up key, it doesn't mean like I don't know if you played this snake game, you probably did. But if like the snake is going down, you can't press the up key. It's not going to like go back on its own body to go up. So if it goes down, like if its Y is, if the Y position of it is not changing, then it means like it's moving to this direction. Its X is only changing. But if its Y is changing, it means that it is moving in like a vertical axis. And pressing arrow up, it's not going to make sense. So if like the snake is coming down, you have to move it right or left. Right? So arrow up only makes sense if there is horizontal movement. So you can check that. You can say if the direction Y is 0. That means there's no vertical movement. It's on a horizontal movement. Then what you can do is you can say if that is the case, then if somebody pressed up, it means that, so I'm going to give it a new direction. Right? I'm going to reset the direction and say if you pressed up, it means that you're not going to have movement on like x-axis. You're not going to have movement on x-axis anymore. Wherever you are, your x is going to be fixed. So the displacement on the x-axis is going to be 0, but your y movement, like your y should get smaller and smaller, so you're kind of like moving up. So I'm going to give it a displacement of like -1 because we move like one cell at a time, right? So once you understand this logic, then you just have to repeat it for every one of these. And excuse me. And you just need to adjust the idea for every one of them. So let's go and do that. So for arrow down, we basically do the opposite. Right? We add to the Y, so it kind of moves down. For arrow left, we kind of need to do the opposite check. We need to make sure that there are no movements on the x-axis for arrow left and arrow right. And we need to make sure that we don't move on the y-axis, but we change the movement on the x-axis. So if it's left, you go one cell to the left. If it's right, you go one cell to the right. Okay, so this is good. It's gonna help us to like do movements. You can see that like I'm pressing the arrow keys and it kind of moves, and I can go down. Okay, so the app broke. It says uncaught type error, can't access property class list and cell index is undefined, and this is keep happening. So what is happening is that when you, okay, I see what's going on here. When you adjust these directions and you end up basically updating the X and Y, you end up in a situation where you're trying to access cell coordinates that don't exist in here, right? So we're sort of not having any boundary check. And we need to fix this properly, but for now, for this to like not break our application, we can kind of like maybe guard here. Like before you throw the cell index into the cell, you can guard it. You can say only like do this if it's valid. So if cell index is like greater or equal to 0 and it is like less than the length of the cells, then this index is valid and you can actually like get hold of it. All right. Okay. So now this like should not break down, and you can bring it up again and move it around. So it's working. And yeah, so that's a good place. We can now steer the snake in all the arrow key direction. The snake sort of turns 90 degree and it refuses to reverse on itself, and that's like the right behavior that you want for the snake. And it's we've got a good foundation. We can start like adding foods on the board so that the snake can eat it and grow.